Hello, Olivia Lee, Liv Lee. It's lovely to see you. Hey.
No one's ever said that to me before. Hi, Jeff.
Well, it is lovely to see you, and thank you for chatting with me today. Yeah, let's talk all things you. First of all, for people who are watching, give a little introduction to you and the work that you do.
Hi, my name is Olivia Lee. I'm 21 years old. I'm a creative. I love to create. Nothing brings me bigger happiness than that. And my day job, I am a project coordinator. So ultimately, I work at helping young people to change their lives. That's all I like to think, is that ultimately through the work that we do have impact on those young people's lives, and there is a change, whether it's small or whether it's big or whether it's, over time.
So as well as that sort of project coordinating and management and stuff that you do with Contact, what sort of what art forms do you have, Liv? I know I would say in your spare time, but I know that's few and far between. But what sort of stuff arty do you get into?
Okay, yeah. So I love to dance.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, look, she's dancing there.
Yeah, I absolutely love to dance. I love to do music, so I'm actually a rapper. That's the first time coming out of lockdown I've said that, but people keep telling me to say it with chest, so here I am. I produce as well, and I do music. I host and I DJ, and that's kind of something that I do all in one. So I can either host for different artists. I hosted the opening ceremony for MIF, for Yoko Ono, but then there's also kind of totally different vibes, like Manchester Carnival, where you can DJ, you can gas the crowd, everyone's doing yeah. So I love creating, and ultimately with creation comes the freedom to feel. And I think for me, every single thing that I do is about healing. So I feel when I dance, I feel when I do music, I feel when I write, I feel when I'm hosting. Everything is based off connection and our feeling. That's what I've recognized.
And when was the sort of first time that you got that feeling then? When can you remember back, like a sort of first memory of you doing that I don't know, art form? You talk about dancing, maybe it was at school, maybe it was something. Can you pinpoint like a time that's like, or a memory that takes you back to when you first felt, you know what, I love this?
You know what? No one knows this, but I'll give you a Chattin exclusive. When I was younger, I spent a lot of time in my living room, pretending I was multiple different artists and performing to an imaginary crowd. So I know a lot of old school raps off by heart, that like Eminem, like loads of different random people. And I just used to absolutely love like learning the raps, rapping along with it, and then kind of imagining that what that must feel like. When I was like 15, 16, met Kimoy and Kaiso, and that's when I started like putting it together, like, oh, I like hosting, I like this. And when I reflect on it, the irony is like I'm on stage in my later teenage years, not as an artist, not performing, but I still managed to get on stage where I'm still vibing with the crowd and I'm getting what I used to imagine, but for me, in a way that I love.
I love that. Your role at Contact. Tell me about your job role at Contact and how you got into that as well, and where that came in. Sort of, what place did it come in your life and your journey?
So I am a project coordinator at Contact. I started working for Contact in November 2017. The 1st of November was my very first day. And I am now a project coordinator, but when I started, I was project assistant. So in summer 2017, I took part in Manchester International Festival's Flexing, which was at Contact. It was a residency at Contact. and we was upstairs in the space, and I just felt like being in the building, I liked it. It was for me. Like, I didn't feel like there was any barriers for me necessarily. There was a lot of familiar faces that I knew. It was kind of like a place that I knew I could go to where I'd find other like-minded people as well. So then in like October, September time, I was taking a gap year actually for that year. So I'd agreed like with my family that I'd take a gap year out, live my life free, and then go to uni the next year to study events management. Because I was also slightly conflicted in wanting to take something I love and learn it in a way that I hate, and that could potentially cause me to hate the thing that I love because of the way that I'm learning it.
Yeah.
I really didn't want that to happen. So actually, when I applied for the job at the time, my granny normally helps me and supports me with all of that stuff, and she just wasn't well enough to do so. And at the time, I was doing the CoOp advert. So I remember we were sat around having a meal, eating some Nando's, and I was like stressing over this application. I was like, oh, really want to get the job. Don't know what I'm doing. Like, I'm trying my best. Normally my granny would check this for me, but she can't. And the director was like, he heard what I was saying. He was like, hold on, send it over to me. And before you wake up the next morning, I'll send you something over with some like advice and help and support.
Nice.
I was like, thank you so much.
What was this? So this was part of it. You were doing an advert for the CoOp where you were dancing in it. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was dancing in the CoOp advert with like my friends. It was really cool.
Amazing. So go on. So you applied for this, and how old were you at that time? So this was.
So I turned 18 on the 27th of July. So the end of July, I just turned 18. I applied for the job thinking there's no way. I'm 18. I remember getting told I had an interview for the job, and I was like, what? This is crazy. And I turned up like bandana off. I was not wearing anything like this right now. It was like totally female, very like office female clothes, no bandana, hair out. It was like I felt so uncomfortable. I was sat there like, this is not me. This is not how I dress, but it's okay. And then I went into the interview, and it was actually in quite a small room with like 3 people, so it was quite like intimate. And then yeah, I left, and I felt like the interview had gone pretty well. Like, I wasn't like crying or anything afterwards. And then I think I had a hospital appointment, so I was at the hospital. And my granny called me and she was like, have you heard anything back yet? I was like, no. And she was telling me, oh, like preparing me to not get it.
Yeah.
So she was like, it's super competitive, and I think you would have heard back from them by now if you did get it, and blah, 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 blah. I put the phone down to her, and no lie, like 2 minutes later, Steve called me, and he was like, hey, I'm just calling you to let you know that we're giving you the job. And I was like, what? Are you being serious? And he was like, yeah, like, we really loved you in interview, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And it was honestly like the best feeling in the world. Like, imagine going for something that you think you've got no chance of getting because of all of these different factors, and you get it, like, even to having the conversation with my granny about not having the job.
What did you say? Did you ring her right back up afterwards?
Yeah, I was like, Granny, I got the job. And she was like, oh my. Like, it was a massive moment in my life.
So this is it's for the agency project specifically, isn't it? Through Contact, and it's the agency project coordinator assistant. That was the role that was what it.
So it was the agency project assistant. Sorry, yeah. So when I first started, the job role was the agency project assistant.
Yeah.
And we thought, like, when I was speaking to my auntie and stuff, we thought, oh, looking at the breakdown, I was like, I can do that. Like, yeah, and it's a development, and the role had never been done before. So it was a pioneering role, which was a blessing for me as well, because it meant that I had the ability to like come in and make the role what it was.
Yeah.
But at the time I didn't recognize that. you know. But ultimately, the way me and Steve made it work was he just handed me over tasks from his workload, you know, that were kind of at my level and that were challenging me, but that I could also do at the same time. And then kind of as the project assistant role continued, because I was already doing quite a lot in the project, like a lot of the running on the ground, when it then came to July 2019, I got promoted to project coordinator, and was given half a day more. So I worked 5.5 days a week. But I was given the role as project coordinator and told that ultimately you run the agency now on the ground. Everything on ground level is your responsibility type of thing. That was like, oh, okay. It also is a testament, because sometimes I don't really believe in myself, right? So I don't tell myself I'm like good at what I do, or I just kind of get on with it. So those moments when it's like your workplace offers you promotion, and like it's like, we think you can run the agency, like we want you to do it. And obviously, not to forget that there's a project manager involved that manages like the full budget, and kind of like the partnerships and stuff. But that responsibility of running the agency on the ground was like, wow, they really trust me.
If that's not anything, that's contact practicing what they preach in terms of giving young people opportunity. But I think it's a really interesting one for you as well, because a lot of the people I see, a lot of the young people that have come through Contact have been through projects and stuff. You kind of came in a different way. Yeah, you got that responsibility of a full role. You're a staff member. That's interesting to me. To sort of looking at Contact, like what is Contact to you? What does Contact mean generally to you?
It's a family that has slightly different conditions, if that makes sense, and ways of operating. And I think that it's a space where you can come no matter how you look, what you look like, who you are, and ultimately you can find someone that you connect with, and then you can create and you can just be. And I think that's really important, to just go somewhere and just be who you need to be, who you want to be, and have the freedom to either create or not create, maybe do a different project or sit on the board or get consulted, you know. So you can choose, ultimately you as a young person gets to choose what your journey at Contact is.
It's just really good that happens, and I'm really glad it does, and I think other places can learn from that. I'm getting excited to see what the agency has in store once it comes back, and what you're doing with the agency. And yeah, I mean, let's big up Olivia Lee for all the work you've done at Contact so far, and to many more, I'm sure.
Thank you, Josh. It's been a pleasure, and yeah, I've had fun. Thank you for having me.